Folks logging in, welcome to everyone who's joining. We're going to just provide a minute or two more before we kick things off, but thank you for taking time tonight and logging on.
Hi, Josh.
Hey there, Richard. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing all right. Thanks for being with us.
Sure.
Getting just a few more folks logging in. This is wonderful. Thanks for taking the time tonight. We're going to get started in about a minute. Give others a chance to log on and get settled. But we'll start in just a moment. I see just a few more folks who are entering the waiting rooms. Might give it one more minute. Thanks for your patience. Thanks again for showing up and giving us some of your time tonight. All right, I think we are going to go ahead and get started. Thank you again for taking the time tonight. We really appreciate it. Got a lot to cover, but I'll provide some brief welcoming remarks, and then we'll go ahead and get started. I feel like I've met so many of you over the past few years. My name is Josh Lasky. For those of you I haven't met, I'm with a firm called Link Strategic Partners. We've been a partner to Montgomery College on this project since the early design phase, and I know many of you have been with us since then, so thank you for your commitment, thanks for your focus, and thanks for joining us tonight. This is the latest of our project update forums. So this is part of our ongoing commitment to engage on all things related to the Math and Science Building project, part of our commitment to ongoing communication and making sure channels are open. It seems rather standard at this point, but at some point, I guess about a year ago, we shifted to virtual. So thank you for being flexible with us and joining us on Zoom tonight. At some point in the future, we may go back in person, but for now, this is a great tool and we're glad you're all able to take advantage of it. If you're having any technical issues, my colleague Molly Mitzner is a great resource. So if you can navigate the chat and want to send her one, she will jump in and lend her help and get you sorted out. Feel free as of now, Molly just put a chat out there. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to utilize the chat. It is open and we welcome questions that way. We will obviously also take questions verbally once we get through a presentation. As always, we are going to make all of the questions and the replies to those questions public on the project website. That's been part of a commitment since day one as part of the engagement process. If for some reason we can't answer a question right now, we'll do our very best to collect information, talk to the person or persons we can get information from and get that back to you and publish that answer as soon as we can. As always with these Zoom meetings, there is closed captioning available. That's one of the options at the bottom should you want to rely on that. That's a handy function for those that would like to use it. And then also we're recording this meeting to make it available to folks that weren't able to be here tonight. So just wanted to provide that as an FYI. We are going to be talking about a lot tonight. We want to be comprehensive though, since we're taking our typical approach to the project update forum. So you're going to get quite a bit of information. We're going to talk about the next phase of the project, which includes dewatering, which will explain what that is, as well as sheeting and shoring. also explain what that is. And I know a lot of you are here to talk about material and equipment deliveries to the site. We will dedicate a good chunk of the meeting to that. And like I said, we'll have plenty of time for questions and answers. Um, I would just like to sort of share a quick reflection, which is that the past few weeks have shown me that our process of engaging with the community is working really well. We had originally planned, for example, to have this conversation a couple weeks from now. We got some feedback that a conversation was needed sooner than later, and so we bumped this up as soon as we could. And so we're having this conversation tonight rather than in late May. So thank you again for your commitment to being part of the process for the ongoing dialogue. We're excited to be having the conversation. So we're going to start with a presentation as always, then we'll move into Q&A, but right now you're going to be seeing the slides on your screen. We are going to have Dave Coleman from Barton Malow share those slides. But before we get to him, let me quickly introduce Dr. Brad Stewart, Vice President and Provost at Montgomery College. Go ahead, Brad.
Good evening, everyone. And as Josh said, welcome and thanks for coming tonight. This is an exciting time at Montgomery College. On the 21st of May, over 2,000 students will graduate from Montgomery College in the class of 2021. So we're all looking forward to that. We're looking forward to a spirited discussion tonight about the progress of the Leggett Building Math and Science Center project. I noticed that Councilmember Kovar is in the audience tonight. Hello, welcome. We're hoping that we can get all of your questions at least surfaced, if not answered and addressed. And as usual, I brought my friends with me to help this out. You've already met Josh. And now I'd like to introduce Dave Coleman from Barton Malow. And he has a very detailed slide deck that will provide you with a great amount of information about our progress on the project. Dave, it's all yours.
Thank you, Dr. Stewart, and thanks, Josh. Welcome, everybody. Good to be here again, just to provide information as we had committed to at the onset of the project. So, our meeting agenda. So we're going to talk about the current construction project status, touch very briefly on COVID-19, as that's still important in today's world. We'll talk about the progress update, kind of where we're headed to, what are the next kind of activities. And then talk logistics, and logistics is where we'll talk about those material and equipment deliveries that Josh had referenced earlier. So just to hit on the COVID-19, there basically have been no changes on what we administer on site. It's a mask site 100% of the time, unless somebody is eating, obviously, or drinking. The CDC is revising guidelines, but that hasn't changed how we're operating on site yet. All the jurisdictions seem to be, thinking about changes, but again, I just want to reiterate, nothing has changed on site. We tend to have to answer more questions now as our workers get vaccinated. Just FYI for you, they may see something on a website with CDC that says they don't need to wear a mask, and we kind of have to re-educate them. The good thing is a lot of people are getting vaccinated if they choose to do so, but just a challenge for us, just so you know, that's kind of what we get to deal with on a daily basis. As we move into kind of a progress update, I think most people have already signed up for the webpage that Montgomery College has out there, and the weekly updates are posted as shown in the kind of the orange arrow there down if you go onto that website. And so this was I know it's impossible to read for you, but that was the April 30th update, which is this week. So I just wanted to note that there was an update that the safety and security lighting is now fully operational. So by the end of the week, we'll be lighting that at nighttime. That's a very low level light. Again, because you'll see on some pictures, so many ups and downs on the site. We need to make sure that even at nighttime, should somebody sneak in there that's not allowed, that we've got lighting, we can tell what's going on, and we keep it safe. You'll see on next week's update, one of the things that we're going to do on May 14th is to do an emergency evacuation test. And just so you know what that means, we take an air horn at the trailer. So it's not facing towards any residences, but basically we have 3 short bursts from that air horn. And what that does is that tells all the workers to go to their designated locations within the site itself, just to make sure everybody's safe. So we figured we'd do that test around 11 o'clock in the morning. Again, it's 3 very short bursts. I don't know that everyone will hear it. I can't imagine it would be much louder than the train. but just in case. And if somebody has some event on the 14th, outside of, we can be flexible on that. And we thought 11 o'clock would be a good time of the day. But let's move on to kind of the schedule as we go through the updates. No significant changes when you look at the overall schedule. Things are moving forward. We're making progress. I'll show some pictures here in a second. Just maneuvering around to get this building done to add to Montgomery College at Takoma Park. Looking at a little more detail of the schedule, the demolition of the buildings, Falcon Hall and Science South. The demolition piece really is done, and we're removing the remainder of the debris. I'll show some pictures in a second about that. We've installed some site utilities, and we'll be doing site utilities for a while as different areas of the project site open up and people move around. So that'll be ongoing for a while. And then later on, we'll start the structure. Josh had mentioned earlier about sheeting and shoring and dewatering. That's a part of the foundations and structure support systems, which is really the next phase. But pictures are always very nice to see. So I don't know people drive around, but this was a photo provided by the college, and you can kind of see this photo is about 2 weeks old. So the buildings are demolished. The walls are still up and the foundations in this photograph. I'll show you a photograph in a second. That's all removed now. But you can see there's been a lot of work, a lot of debris. The site has gotten a lot cleaner from that debris. And our construction entrance is in, and it's been great progress so far. If you look in a little more detail on progress, these pictures, the one on the left, and kind of shows that where the pool was, all of that concrete wall is actually down. And if you look on the picture on the right, you can see Science South. All of that concrete is done. The foundations are out, and really we're removing debris. And all of that debris, the concrete should be out of there by the end of this week, weather permitting. And so, we're moving at a good pace, getting ready for that next phase, which I'll talk about in a few moments. At the last progress update, we talked about the water line installation on Takoma Avenue. So that work was done. And then the sewer line along Takoma Avenue was also put into place and finally kind of graded out there. So we look at upcoming work, what's next? And, Josh mentioned dewatering. So dewatering is a means that we remove water from an area to make it constructible and safe for all of our workers who are going to be kind of below those walls. So the process is we use a drill rig. So you can see the drill rig in this picture I'm kind of rolling over right now in the center of the screen. And so that basically drills so we can put PVC pipe into the ground to get to the water. That's a vertical pipe, and that connects to PVC that sits along the ground. So then there's a pump connected to that pumps out the water. That goes into what's called a separator tank to clean out and filter out the soil before the water is then discharged. So you might say, well, again, I talked kind of the process there. The pump, the water is pumped into a settling tank and then released. And then, what are the noise makers? I know that's always something we really spend a lot of time on. We have the drill rig, which should be less noisy than the demolition activities. We have saws where we might have to cut some PVC pipe or some supports for that pipe, but those kinds of things, again, would be not as noisy as things that have already been going on. And then we have this pump that I'll talk about in a second that'll be running. The pump itself will be enclosed by sound dampening materials. Obviously, we're getting a pump that is a lower volume to start with, and then kind of what we agreed to, and as part of our plan, we're still doing noise attenuation around it. So this slide gets a little busy. Sorry about that, but I'll try to explain. So on the bottom right is kind of noise attenuation blankets that we're going to put around that pump. Like everything else, if for some reason there's a noise problem, then we'll add more blankets or do something else, but that has worked for us in the past. So that's the noise attenuation part. Looking at the left-hand side of the screen, you can see this is the general outline of the dewatering system. So the red line is basically the outline of the pipe itself that I talked about. And the little red dots are actually those vertical pipes that go into the ground. There are two openings shown here, if you notice, and those are either removable systems or systems that'll be underground to tie this together, because we do need access to get in and out of that particular area. The pump will be located over here on this side of the project. Along with the settling tank, and the settling tank is about an 8,000 to 10,000 gallon settling tank. So the water gets pumped in there, and the water has to sit so that the debris can settle out in that tank, and then the water is allowed to discharge out through its outlet and onto the ground, and it'll go through the existing sediment erosion controls that we already have in. John Thrasher will come out after the tank is put in, before the system is put into operation. He's the Montgomery County inspector, and so he will tell us exactly where he wants that discharge on the ground to be. He's already reviewed the plans to date, but he wanted the tank to be set there so he can view exactly that line, and if he wants any other systems put into place. Once we're able to do the dewatering, we get into what's called sheeting and shoring. So sheeting and shoring is the way that we, excuse me one second, it's the way we do temporary support for kind of a drop off or an edge. So we saw in those pictures where the pool was and where Science South was, this area is higher than the area along Takoma and the rest of the building. So we have what amounts to a split level building, if you think about it in a housing sense. And we've got basically an edge here that is anywhere from 7 to 17 feet high that we need to, comply with OSHA. We need to make sure that it's safe for all of our workers and provide them an area to do that along with the dewatering. So the yellow outline here shows to the extent of the sheeting and shoring. So that, and I'll show you in a second what that looks like, but that sits, 10 feet or so outside the building footprint to allow us to get the foundation walls in. So here are some pictures of sheeting and shoring, a picture on the right. Roughly, that's what it looks like. I'm not going to try to go into every technical detail. Basically, you have a vertical member that gets drilled into the ground. And I want to kind of reaffirm that on the bottom of the page, there's a typical rig that's used to drill those pieces in. But we are drilling these, in a traditional sense. A lot of times you'll see those being rammed or jammed into the ground. And early on, we talked at earlier meetings, we're going to drill those in because it's a lot less noisy than the constant pounding with those. So again, those vertical pieces will go in, and then there'll be wood boards that go in between to retain the earth. The machinery and tools that are used, the drill rig that I mentioned, we have the picture for. There's an excavator in case we have to clean up any soil down the bottom. Again, they've been on site, really haven't been too much of a nuisance for anybody off site to date. And then again, kind of hand saws or saws for any cutting of these boards just to make everything fit. So that's kind of the next phase there. That's what that looks like. We get into site logistics, and a couple of things we're going to talk about here include some changes to kind of the fencing around the site, and then we'll kind of take a deep dive into some of those material and equipment deliveries that we've been discussing. So everyone has seen this slide previously. What I focused to is we showed this wood fence along Takoma Avenue. So this wood fence, we're now at a point where we're ready to install that. That'll go in within the next month. When we do this fence, we know that we're not allowed to enter, walk, put any debris or anything into any tree save area that's over here. So we make sure that's clear before any of the work starts. We'll monitor that the whole time. I think that the wood fence, we're getting it in May. If you read the news at all, there's been a lot of shortages of lumber. So it could lag a little bit beyond that. We're just getting everything in place right now to make sure we put that in to provide some additional barrier as vehicles move around the site from the Takoma Avenue viewpoint, kind of as we had originally agreed to do. Sorry about that. So we look at kind of the current delivery material and equipment scenario. So some of the trucks you see on this slide, right? So there's a pickup truck with a trailer. This slide that I'm kind of moving my arrow on, or this picture, is more of a short flatbed. Concrete trucks. And then this is a short, excuse me, take a drink. A short box truck. So we had always anticipated, and I'll kind of have the graphic in a second, that all of the traffic would come in off of Fenton, go into the site, and exit out of the far entrance. And this has worked for these, and this will continue to work. We knew that originally. We met with various drivers and some contractors and verified that that doesn't change. That's the way it started and will never change throughout the course of the project. What we did see on an upcoming delivery, kind of challenge for us are these types of trucks. So the one on the left is called a lowboy. It's called a lowboy because in the center it dips, And what this hauls a lot of times are heavy equipment. The truck on the right is something you see more on the roads, or maybe you've noticed or not. This is more for material deliveries. It's the same 60-foot length, plus or minus, but it doesn't have that center section that's lower. This is what some of the bigger materials come on. So, as we looked at, as we started bringing some of the heavy equipment in for utilities and demolition, we noticed some challenges. And so, we did, when we originally talked about the routing of everybody coming in and going out, or coming in here and going out this entrance, it looked great on paper and on the computer. We did look at it. When I graduated from college, I did truck turns because I worked for an oil company, and everything seemed to work on paper. And when we, engaged our partner, our subcontractor partners, everything still seemed to work. But as we brought those first few deliveries in, we ran into some challenges that, you can't always show everything on a computer, although in today's day and age, you would think that you think you could, but it doesn't always work that way. And, before I go into the next slide, a couple of things, you look at all the light poles, you look at the guy wires, you look at the grades, but sometimes reality or some things hit you that you just didn't expect and don't model all the time. So, okay, what are the challenges that we saw on those deliveries? I mentioned grade changes from the street to the site. Obviously, those were always there, but that low boy caused us some issues that were unexpected. We didn't think the grade was going to be that difficult for them, but kind of an easy fix for us. We were able to work with our inspectors. We adjusted how far we kind of adjusted the grade back on the site. And so those trucks were able to access the site, no issues with the grades. So that was done and done fairly quickly. Then we have like the materials that typically come on those larger trucks, like that low boy or that larger flatbed. So we had always bought the job where deliveries were supposed to be broken down into the smallest components they had so the trucks could make the turn. So we went back and said, okay, let's make sure that all of our subcontractor partners understand that, which we did, and said, okay, whether it's rebar, which rebar goes within the concrete footings, it's without going into too much detail, but they would love to bring that out on a 60-foot flatbed, but they knew when they bid this job they weren't allowed to do that. We verified, so those were broken down to smaller loads. So everything that can be broken down into the smaller loads is. And then we still had a couple of material deliveries that the turning radius as it sits existing was just causing us some worries. And so we said, okay, like we always do, first thing we do is we brainstorm, what are all of the possible scenarios or options? And some of them are not viable. Some of them, don't make sense, but we just kind of brainstorm to go through that. At the same time, we meet with our regulatory authorities to make sure that we understand the viability from their perspective. And so we then, know that the commitments we've made, throughout this project. And so we need to develop the criteria that allows us to, thoughtfully go through all of those options and come up with game plans, if you will. So we said, for those deliveries that are extremely large, what is the criteria? So we start out with safety, right? And safety is pedestrian safety, vehicular safety, as well as worker safety. And then the commitments that we've made to everybody, and the commitments all on the project, very important. That needs to be a significant part of the criteria. I mentioned regulatory approval. So we need to talk to people, make sure that the flagging operations we use, everything is consistent with their ideas, so that, again, we're trying to enhance the safety. There's the noise criteria. We have noise standards within the community. We need to adhere to those. And then project efficiencies. So those are all the criteria that go into, what really makes sense and what may not make sense as you go through all of the possible scenarios that are out there. So, you look at, large delivery management, what are we left with as far as those things that we can't break down into smaller loads? So on the left-hand side of this chart, you've got the structural steel, and then the crane, which delivers, those materials. So the structural steel will come in on trucks, kind of like this picture in the center. And the crane that I referenced up above is a tire-mounted crane on the bottom right-hand part of the screen. So I'm going to show you in a second, how we're able to make that work on site. And, we did that by not only, through our bid documents, through our plans, but also we brought the actual truck drivers out to the site within the last few weeks and said, okay, here's where everything is going to lie, be it sheeting, shoring. We know where all these conditions are. What can we make work? And, they're the experts. So let's see what they have to say. So I'll run through kind of their scenario. We have some large mechanical units that need to be on kind of these larger trucks because they're so heavy. You can't break them down. And so we tried to minimize that. That's probably about 15 total loads. But that same technique that we had for the structural steel will work for those. On the side, we also talked with our mason, which is the brick people. They will all be using smaller trucks, kind of that other scenario we talked about earlier. So you kind of look at the site, going back to this aerial, because I think it's the cleanest way to show it. So those trucks we talked about earlier, between the pickup trucks, the smaller flatbeds, the small box trucks, they can come into the site. They can follow these green areas. They can exit going back up Fenton. We may have some professional flag people just to be safe, but that route is not an issue for them. They can make that, and that's great. Where we get into the larger loads on the next screen, I know these yellow arrows get a little weird, so you kind of got to walk through those. So those trucks, the structural steel, they can come down Fenton, pull into the site following my arrow, pull alongside this trailer that's there right now. By the way, when they park and they're idling, they will be shutting off their engines. That was kind of one of the things we talked about earlier meetings. But they'll shut off the truck. They will unload the materials. This truck will then back up into this area. And I know on this slide, there looks to be a grade problem here. If you looked at the pictures I showed after this is level now. And we actually had a truck do this last week as a test run for us. But they can back the trailer into this area, pull back out, and head back up north on Fenton. So again, probably some professional flag people here just to make sure traffic is done safely. But that's the primary option for getting things in and out. But because we do what we do, we always have backup plans and other options, right? So another option that we is possible. We still have to work with both the city and the county just to make sure. But a truck could come down Fenton, pull in alongside this trailer. If for some reason something were clogging this area up, with proper coordination and flagmen, they could back out onto Fenton into this loading dock on the adjacent building on campus property. Once they did that, they would be able to turn their cab and head back northbound on Fenton to head back out. So those are just some of the options that, that's where we are today with we think are the best options. Obviously, the option of backing up on site and getting out is our preferred option at this point in time. You might have heard, as we're talking to the city and people go through options, we had a lot of options that we looked at. But again, when we balanced those against the criteria and got our experts and did a little more kind of resequencing of activities, that seemed to be what worked best for kind of the truck routing and material deliveries. So, and just to give everybody a little flavor of, what kind of volumes we're talking about when we talk structural steel, it's basically 40 to 50, deliveries. Depending on weather and how every piece goes together on site, it's about 8 to 10 deliveries a week. Remember, no deliveries allowed on site before 7. And while they're offloading, there's no idling or anything else going on site. A large mechanical equipment, and I threw electrical in here, just those larger items that we can't break down. We think there'll be a total of 15 deliveries. Those will happen, really after the structural steel for the most part, down the road. And so, we look at those timeframes, and that structural steel delivery is really the thing, within, now in January that'll happen. And the structural steel really wouldn't start until I think it's September of this year. So we have time. When we were going through these options, we had to kind of go through the process when we saw some challenges and take some time to kind of get all of our information together, make sure that everything was viable, talk to the regulatory people, and then kind of come back. And this is what we wanted to come back and present to this group for just kind of an update and, any other thoughts that you may have. I'll turn it over. I mean, I just want to reiterate, we show this slide. I think that the community is calling the hotline as needed. Appreciate that. And we can do appointments. Everybody, I think, is familiar with the website, and everybody that wants to can sign up to that project email to get regular updates. So I hope everybody found this helpful and informative. And Josh and Dr. Stewart, I mean, the next update right now, I think would be August of 21, although if something changes and we need to have something sooner, then, that's what we'll do. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Q&A and go from there.
Dave, thank you for the presentation. Very comprehensive. I appreciate the level of detail and kind of walking through each truck type, walking through the challenges that you encountered, then walking through the criteria that you and your team developed. That's, I think, helpful context. Maybe just a tad overwhelming, maybe, but I'm sort of taking a moment to take it all in, and I hope everyone here does as well. I would love if folks added questions to the chat as they come up, or if you want to just voice them vocally, that is welcome as well. There's a hand raise feature if you're not on camera, and I'll call on you, or if you are on camera and you just prefer to kind of wave at me, would love you to do that. So whatever is most convenient or feels comfortable.
My dogs aren't asking questions, Josh, in case you're wondering. Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah, no, mine is quiet, thankfully. Occasionally she pipes in, but anyone need clarity, a lot of information? Richard, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave, and thanks, Josh. Appreciate the visuals and the descriptions. It's very much appreciated. My dog is going to stay quiet, I think. I told Rambo that there are other dogs nearby, so we'll see how he does. Just one question. At this time, just so I'm clear one way or the other, are we still looking at the possibility of trucks on Tacoma and New York, that there might be some, or we're thinking there won't have to be? I guess that was the only item that wasn't quite clear to me. It appeared everything was going to work off the site and, Fenton for access and egress, but maybe that's still a question that needs to be resolved. I guess that sort of goes to Dave.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, Richard. Thanks for the question on, for clarification. So we looked at those options, and you might have seen or heard of stuff about Tacoma, but we compared that against that criteria we went over, and obviously the commitments and safety was a big thing of that. I don't think Tacoma is really an option that for those reasons is needed or makes sense at this point in time, or in the future. I'm not trying to cap you. Sorry. I don't think that's really it. I think we're making everything work off of Fenton as we committed to. I think we have those options that I know we have those options that work, and we have backup plans. That's what we do. There's an option that was talked about backing all the way up Fenton to New York. That's the less, when you get into the safety issue, right, that requires a lot more coordination in order to make that effort work. So, really hands off, and, thanks to the college with being able to work with us for that other loading dock, just up if we have to back up Fenton a short way. So I think that's a much more viable option of those two to get trucks in and out. And hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, it does. And when I wrote in the question today earlier for this meeting, the first thing I said was, I really appreciate all the progress that's been made for this building that's going to, house a lot of students and administrators and staff. I think it's a great thing for the community. So I appreciate the fact that there may be some teeth grinding with your project manager, maybe yourself, maybe your dog. But I appreciate the efforts being made to address the commitments and just things in general. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Bernie, go ahead, please.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for coming out and briefing us as usual. If I understood Dave correctly, I think, that's much appreciated, that the commitment that was made so many times so clearly about Takoma Avenue in New York is going to be respected. And I appreciate the fact that you guys, rolled up your sleeves and came up with some alternatives. That's important. I guess I have two additional questions. One is, of all those items that you talked about, what is the most noisy that we're facing and for how long? And it seems like the project now looks like it's a 3-year project. Is that right? From what I saw on the original slide?
No, the end date hasn't changed. I'm gonna go back to your first question, if that's okay. I
Sure.
think from now until August, if it's okay to kind of paraphrase, assuming we don't have a meeting before August, I think the loudest things are probably those drilling machines that I showed in those pictures.
Mhm.
And again, that's less noisy than the pounding of them. I don't think that it's going to be. I think some of the activity we had with demolition will have been more noisy, but it's hard to say for sure. I don't think we'll exceed any of the regulations with it. It's just going to be a little more constant when they're drilling those holes in the ground. The sheeting, the dewatering will take about 4 weeks. So again, he's going to drill those holes and then he's going to run the horizontal pipe along the ground. So it's not the entire 8 hours a day for 4 weeks. After the dewatering is in, then the sheeting and shoring, I apologize, my dog is excited about something. The drilling for the sheeting and shoring will take another approximate 6 weeks. Again, not every day, because once he gets those in, he's got to put those lagging boards in. But experience is that drilling rig is a lot less noisy than the traditional kind of pounding. And if you ever heard that before, where we drop a weight from 50 feet up and it's the steel every 2 seconds. But that should be the noisiest thing, Bernie. I hope that answers your question.
Let me just ask you about one other thing. One area that I think a lot of us were disappointed in was the dust control when the dust was at its worst. It was just floating over us, and most of the time, at least, it seemed to be you had one hose out there, which wasn't really enough to do the job. So I don't know if you'll have that level of dust in this phase as you did in the demolition, but if you do, I think we would like to eat less of it than we did this last go around.
Point taken. We did have most of the time have two hoses, but the other thing we did was we brought a water truck out there because in the last week especially it's been, and I know that you're talking the whole phase, but it's been so windy. Even when there's nothing going on, we get a lot of dust kicking up. So we brought a water truck out there, and have just been, with this wind, when there's no work, just trying to keep that water without having excessive water, right? But keeping that dust down. Our water truck contains like 2,500 gallons of water. So we're really trying to keep that on it. And, we made sure we had 2 3-inch hoses. We heard that earlier on, and we're really trying to do everything we could to keep that dust down. But that water truck is there all the time. Like I know Friday, we typically were watering the site down, the paved areas, right? The other stuff, like twice a day. We were like, look, twice may not be enough because we were getting such heavy winds, it's everywhere. And we needed to really honor our commitment to work.
The winds were abnormally heavy in those weeks, for sure. Thanks.
Thanks, Dave. Let me turn to Susan. Thanks for raising your hand. Thanks for your question.
Yeah, just like everyone, I'm very grateful that you were able to find solutions to keep the traffic from having to go down Takoma. That's great. I didn't quite understand the dewatering diagram. I'm trying to understand where the water is going to be coming out. Is it going to be going down Takoma like into the sewer that's in front of Richard's house? Yeah, I just don't. I really couldn't tell where things were. It looked like it was right in the Commons building. I didn't. So
right.
You could explain that a little.
On your front porch, Susie. On your front porch is where.
My front porch, yeah.
No, I apologize. It was hard on that drawing, and I'm sorry I could explain it better. But it'll discharge within the construction site itself on the ground, and so it will. Again, Mr. Thrasher will come out, and it will go through all of our sediment controls, and then go to a storm inlet on site and go to the storm sewer that way.
I see.
So it will not rush out of the site. It will not go down to Takoma and we're end up on the porch or anything like that. And that's kind of, does that clear it up? Apologize for the slide.
No, it does. And there wasn't an issue with water, a lot of extra water going into the storm system that hadn't quite been filtered the way it was supposed to be. So
Mhm.
that's all taken care of in this new dewatering phase.
Yeah, Mr. Thrasher came out and we talked about the tank itself. We work with him all the time, and I'm sure that we'll end up replacing like the sediment sock. Over time, they just get clogged and you have to replace them.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure before we put that in operation, again, he is going to come out and do another inspection just to make sure everything's in good condition. And then we have to monitor that as we go forward.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Other questions? Again, feel free to use the chat if that is most comfortable for you, or give me a wave, flag me down, or use the hand raise function. Council member, please.
For some reason, my hand raise function isn't behaving. Thank you for the information. I really appreciate it. And of course, it's great, especially for the people who live directly across from the site on Takoma, who are quite well represented here this evening. Understandably, it's good news for them that through the creative work that you found ways to avoid having to do that and to be able to stick with the commitment. So we certainly appreciate that. The thing I wanted to say is just it's a stressful thing, and so when the possibility that this would change occurs, that puts people into a difficult, I'd say, frame of mind for a few weeks. And then, of course, it's great that now it's been resolved. I think, though, that it says something about the communication process that either bring the community in earlier, or I don't know if it's that, or don't say anything until it's been solved or something, but it just feels as if I respect the need on your part to wait 2 weeks before scheduling something, because that's the way we want to try to do it. And if you announce a meeting, just unless it's a literal emergency and something's about to happen, it's fair to give people 2 weeks. But I would suggest going forward, I mean, especially if it's something where it's clear that this isn't going to happen until September, that strikes me as, and maybe there will never be anything like this again, but I just encourage additional focus on how the communication process works real world with the people who are actually affected by this. So it's the truck thing's been resolved, and I'm glad about that. So I don't want to extend it unnecessarily, but I think that there are ways to do that that won't make people worry unnecessarily for 3 weeks. And that's what we had. So I hope there's a way to take that into account going forward, because other things will come up. We don't know what they are, but things are bound to come up.
So I'll say thank you for the feedback, Councilmember. I appreciate it. I think it's a little bit of a balancing act, as you know. We clearly don't want to pull together a meeting immediately when we realize there's a need to have a conversation. We want to give some notice, but at the same time, we don't want people to have undue anxiety or fear, the potential of something happening that may be happening without their input. So I think that's fair feedback. I think the challenge here is there's obviously a lot of context that surrounds a decision like this. We wanted to sort of present the challenge fully. We wanted to present the criteria fully, I think, and so this format probably was best for that. But I think going forward, that's really good feedback. If there are ways for us to sort of provide that more immediate type of kind of informational download where we can provide that context and provide kind of all the information that may be more suitable. So we certainly appreciate that feedback. And again, thanks to everyone who showed up and sort of got that download and got all that context. That's part of why I think the process has been successful to this point. So thank you. Let's see. I did see. Oh, sorry, Dave. You disappeared from my screen for a second. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm getting a little concerned about the stormwater because it ultimately goes into the system and discharges into the creek that flows behind my neighbor's house and down New York Avenue. And that's a very steep ravine. that houses that creek. And its banks are becoming increasingly eroded, and it's starting to cave in parts. And I guess I'm just trying to get a sense of what kind of groundwater are you expecting over the next, or during the construction? Is it going to be flashy? Is it a constant, is the dewatering process a constant flow? Because that's a problem that I don't know how to address just now, but I hate to see it made worse.
No, I think it's a good point. I think you brought that up before too, and when we had AMT at the one meeting also, right? So the groundwater is variable, right? It depends on what the table is going to do, right? During the summer, if it's dry, it goes down. You're pumping less, and when it's rainy season, it's higher, and you pump more. Mr. Thrasher will look at how he's allowing us to hit that discharge on site to go into the storm sewer. I think some of the problems, if I heard right when AMT was talking to her, there's some structural problems with just the flow of water in general in that area that go beyond just this project. And I'm not sure, how to address that either. I'm not sure.
When would we expect to see this increased groundwater pumping? Is that started already? Is it?
No, that'll probably be in about 3 to 4 weeks.
At the beginning?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've had some pumping of water that sits on the ground already, but that's just been with the rain and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
Dave Coleman, just for reference, is the dewatering process, is it akin to like a small rainstorm in terms of volume? I'm maybe for a lay person like me, I'm just trying to figure out kind of what is a good comparison or benchmark in a situation like this. Maybe impossible for you to answer that, but
yeah, I mean, if you think about your basement, a lot of times you compare it to your basement, your sump pump in your basement. My house, I have a pump or a pipe that comes out of the side of my house. Again, a lot smaller than something like this, and it comes and it goes. That isn't a constant. Again, what I talked about earlier, where it depends on what the water and everything else is doing. It shouldn't be a rush. And the thing is, before the building was demolished, there was a sump system in that building, and so it was already pumping through the storm sewer. So there was a flow that was already there that's now been interrupted now that this demolition is being done. And so it should really replace what was there before. It shouldn't be a huge add, I wouldn't think. But it's hard to say because it's nature a little bit. Does that help at all, Josh? Or at least your
I think so. Larger than my basement, yes, but it's sort of, it's retained on site for a period, so it's not all rushing off at once is kind of what I'm hearing. But I think, it's one of those situations, Dave Kaplan, where, provide us feedback, share us, your observations as the process begins, and we'll work collaboratively to make sure that we're doing it in the best way possible. So there are a couple of questions that came in the chat. There was one that I see from Georgia Marcy related to Comcast and the wiring of internet and some of the work that happened there. I see this as some feedback. There is a question though, how could they not notice the work going on just outside the construction fence and the LOD stakes, especially after they ordered the service? Dave, you spoke to that. Do you want to maybe respond to that question? And then maybe I can refer back to sort of what you mentioned in the presentation as well.
Yeah, if we're talking about what Comcast did, I mean, we ordered service for, our trailer to get service so we communicate. And we reiterated to them, as part of everything else, we asked them to confirm before anybody showed up on site. And we had asked them, everything should be above ground, but please coordinate with us, show up. And that was the requirement. And then all of a sudden somebody showed up and started digging a hole. And that's not what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to actually go to the city and when they're in city property lines like that, and they're supposed to get their own permits and everything they're doing. But we asked them further as a part of our commitment to coordinate. But they didn't do either of those things, and they just showed up. So I know that Marty with the city is already in contact with Comcast of their error in their ways. So that's kind of what I think happened.
See, we did get another comment in the chat from Susan, kind of reiterating what Peter offered, what Councilmember Kovar offered. Thank you. I think we're going to work on finding a way to sort of achieve that balance between needing to bring everyone together to offer context, and then also, getting people to a place where we can reaffirm that, no decision has been set in stone. If there is ever sort of a decision or a moment kind of like this, it is good feedback for us. And for me, as someone who sort of focuses on process and also wants to make sure that people feel comfortable and heard, I want you to know that I hear you right now, and I'm going to work on figuring out what the best sort of interim, informational mechanism we can use in a situation like this. We do have our weekly update, which may be the right mechanism. So we're going to keep sort of using all the channels we have. But certainly, I'll remind you, if you feel like you're in a moment where you don't have information that you need and you need immediate information, please do reach out, use the hotline, use the email. And when we feel like it's significant and we've got to bump up a meeting, we're definitely going to do that, and we'll stay flexible that way. So I do appreciate the feedback.
And I think, I don't speak for Susan, but I think her point is that if this is resolved, and we knew that 5 days ago, this can be a shorter meeting and everybody can do other things and everybody would be happy. So there's no reason to bury the lead when you've got more positive news. I know, Susan, I don't mean to be interpreting what you're saying, but
No, it's exactly right. That's exactly it. Why, I mean, everyone came to this meeting upset and ready for there to be, a big fight about what you were going to do, because it looked like you were not going to do the thing that you had said you were going to do, but you are going to do the thing that you said you were going to do. So it's, no one needed to be upset about it. So I think at the very moment that you knew that there wasn't going to be a need to renege on the promise, that would have been good to just reassure people that that wasn't going to happen.
We appreciate that. I think one other thing I'll offer is that we do have quite a few neighbors, and we want to make sure that everyone feels like they have the opportunity to get all that information. So there are moments, yes, when I think we can sort of provide targeted responses, but we do want to make sure we're as inclusive as possible when we provide these updates. So maybe one more sort of reason for trying to bring everyone together. In terms of bottom line up front, yes, I hear you. And if there is sort of a high, a moment of sort of like higher focus on a particular issue, and we want to just get that headline out up front, we can offer that as sort of like a very quick summary slide up front. And by the way, if you want more details, you can stick around and we'll provide them. So again, really good feedback. We appreciate that. I see a wave from Richard. Go ahead, Richard. You're on mute still, sir.
Okay, thanks, Josh. Just a quick observation and plan ahead in different parts of my life and your life. If Dr. Pollard ends up going to Nevada, does Brad Stewart the acting president, and so there'd be another contact within the college, or are we allowed to discuss that at this time?
Oh, wow. I don't know if how do I respond to that?
Carefully.
Take that one. Susan, go ahead, please.
You can discuss whatever you would like, but it is up to the Board of Trustees to name the interim president, and we have plenty of time to do that. But I see Brad waving his hands very vigorously, which I take to indicate he's not put his name in the hat to be the interim president. So I think as far as the contacts go vis-a-vis this campus, all things remain the same.
If you want to look to the community for
Appreciate a point of levity in this conversation. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
we
Richard.
recommend Richard if you want to cast your net wide. You're looking for somebody with community roots.
Richard Weil for president. All right. It's a campaign I can get behind.
We'll throw all our support behind it.
Other questions? You can wave, use the chat, hand raise function. Not seeing any additional questions, I will speak very slowly in case there are more questions that come in.
I'll just mention one thing.
Yeah.
It sounds like the biggest maybe current concern is about water and stormwater. And so if we can sort of say, okay, there may be a presentation in August, but I'd like to suggest that we leave open the idea that there could be something sooner once we get into the dewatering, which it sounds like begins 4 weeks from now. And I think a lot depends on if there's bigger rainstorms happening at the same time and just the whole area is waterlogged or whatever. But I think it would be helpful to have a tentative plan for something to look at that, sort of assessing where we are once the dewatering is, once we're far enough into the dewatering to sort of see what it looks like. So that's, I'm not saying I have to decide that now and pick a date now. I just think that would be preferable than just having August out there.
I think we use August as a way to say, you know, at least once a quarter we plan on getting together. But I think tonight is sort of evidence that if we need to change it up and we need to have a conversation sooner, we're happy to do that. But one takeaway from me is if you have an observation, if you have a question, if you have a need for information, please do reach out. And I think you've seen that the college and this team is responsive. So let's make sure we stay true to that. Bernie, go ahead.
I just want to say one last thing before we close. I've been very impressed with Dave's professionalism in all of these discussions. You know, he's been transparent and he's been constructive and tried to be a problem solver, and we appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate that. And, you know, we do our best to help.
We're voting you for president, interim president.
I'm definitely not qualified.
We
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
that. We appreciate you, Dave Coleman, as well. Thank you. Well, if there are no more questions, obviously, all the ways to get in touch: email, website, hotline. Please do reach out. Thank you very much for taking some time tonight. There's a lot of information, but glad you were here and to be part of it. And thanks as well for sort of your continuing ongoing focus and commitment to making sure that this is the best project it can possibly be. So we appreciate all of you and your time. And with that, I think I'll say have a lovely evening, and we will see you in August, if not sooner. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.